A new Eberron sourcebook, 8 new Forgotten Realms subclasses, and a brand new mystery D&D book.
Let's go, baby, let's go!
Today, we can officially announce that we have the monster manual and are allowed to officially talk about it. However, we have another surprise for you, and I guess we'll get to the monster manual later. You see, last week, Wizards of the Coast invited myself and a few other journalists to talk about the upcoming slate of D&D books. While I thought it was a little bit odd that Wizards wanted me to go all the way to Seattle to hang out with them and talk about some books they had already announced, it turns out that those folks had some tricky surprises up their sleeves. Here's the thing, it turns out that Wizards is adding 2 new D&D books to its existing 2025 slate of releases. One of these new books is Eberron, Forge of the Artificer, which will bring the Artificer class and 5 new species into the new revised 5th edition rule set. All of the classic species from Rising from the Last War will appear, as well as the Koravar, which are being called their own species and separate from half-elves. Now, Keith Baker is consulting on this new Eberron book. The other new D&D book is a total and complete mystery. It'll come out in October. But Wizards didn't give us any other information about the book whatsoever, and trust me, we tried. We don't know if it's a source book, a campaign book, or a crossover book of some kind, but we're crossing our fingers and hoping it's that Bloomborough book that I keep begging them for. Additionally, the Forgotten Realms Player's Guide will introduce circle casting, a new way to cast spells. Full details on this new mechanic was not revealed, but it will involve multiple spellcasters working together to amp up a spell or give it additional effects. One example given was making a spell's effects permanent instead of having a temporary duration. Now, we've seen circle casting before in 3rd edition, but it was exclusive to Red Wizards and one other group that I'm forgetting, so we're guessing it's going to be a bit more open this time. Oh! Also, Wizards just unveiled a brand new Unearthed Arcana with the 8 subclasses that will appear in the Forgotten Realms Player's Guide. By the time you're listening to this, the Unearthed Arcana should be out. We didn't get exact details for the mechanics around these new subclasses. Again, you can just check them out for yourselves by the time this video is up, but we do know their names and that 5 of them have very specific ties to the Forgotten Realms. The 8 subclasses are the College of the Moon Bard, which is tied to Moonshae Isles, the Knowledge Domain Cleric, the Purple Dragon Knight Fighter, of course the Purple Dragon Knight first appeared in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, the Oath of the Noble Genies, that's a Paladin subclass, and that's tied to Kalimshan, the Winter Walker Ranger, that's tied to Icewind Dale, the Scion of the Three, that's likely a Baldur's Gate Dead 3 reference, and that's a rogue subclass, Spellfire Sorcery, that's a sorcerer subclass, and of course Spellfire is a classic Forgotten Realms mechanic, and the Bladesinger, which is a wizard subclass, and goddammit, I hate Bladesingers. Anyways, here's what we know about the rest of D&D's slate. Dragon Delves, which comes out on July 8th, 2025. The previously unnamed dragon anthology is called Dragon Delves, and it will feature 10 short adventures, each of which features a different type of chromatic or metallic dragon. There will be 3 campaign options in the books that can be used to link together the campaign. Not every adventure will pit players against dragons, especially as the adventures themselves range from level 1 to level 12. There's also an art section showcasing dragon art from across the 50 years of D&D material. Now, Dragon Delves also noticeably departs from Wizards' in-house style for D&D. Each adventure features art primarily by a different artist, with the artists using their own style instead of conforming to the fantastic realism typically found in D&D books. Artists in Dragon Delves include Luke Eidensink, Dominic Mayer, and Ed Kwong, and the art all looks amazing. Eberron, Forge of the Artificer, that comes out on August 19th, 2025. Now, this book will serve as a companion book to Eberron Rising from the Last War, with looks at different parts of Eberron that wasn't explored in the original Eberron book for 5th edition. The book will include new backgrounds, new bastion options tied to Eberron, and expanded rules for airships. That's right, we're finally getting airship rules, and it's going to be tied to the vehicle rules from Descent into Avernus. The book also includes some changes and evolutions to Eberron lore. Notably, dragon-marked houses are no longer species-locked, and characters are actually able to join the houses later in their lives. dragon marks are also being made into feats as opposed to having a separate subsystem, and again, any species can get any dragon mark. While the book won't include a full campaign, there are 3 chapters presented as campaign options with sample adventures. These 3 chapters are titled Sharn Inquisitives, Dragon Mark Intrigue, and Moorgrave Expeditions, and they all include several sample adventures. At one point, Eberron, Forge of the Artificer was described as a Xanathar's Guide to Everything book, but specific to Eberron. The book will also have a different page count and price point than typical D&D books, although we don't know if it will have more pages or less pages than a normal rulebook. I guess we'll find out about that later. The Heroes of the Borderlands starter set, which comes out on September 16th, 2025. Now, as they mentioned previously, Heroes of the Borderlands is a return to the keep in the Borderlands, although time has passed since the original adventure module, so don't expect it just to be a one-to-one port. The physical starter set will also contain several new innovations designed to make D&D easier for beginners. The biggest thing that they drew attention to was that the starter set will include numerous new components, including tiles the players kind of mix and match to create new characters. They actually called the tile system one of the quickest character creation systems ever for D&D, short of giving new players a pre-generated character. Also, the starter set will include support for having multiple DMs run a campaign. And of course, the Forgotten Realms Player Guide and the Forgotten Realms Adventure Guide, both of which come out on November 11th, 2025. We already talked about what we know about the Player's Guide earlier. There's circle casting, there's new backgrounds, there's new spells, and there's those 8 new subclasses. But the Forgotten Realms Adventure Guide will contain deep dives on 5 different parts of the Forgotten Realms, each of which are meant to kind of dial in on a different kind of fantasy. The 5 areas include the Moonshae Isles, which is supposed to be whimsical, Fae-inspired stories, Icewind Dale, which is survival horror, the Dale Lands, which is sort of your investigate ancient ruins, Calimsham, which was described as magitech fueled by genies, which I don't think that's how that area was before, but not exactly a Forgotten Realms expert, and Baldur's Gate, which was described as Murder City. Each area will have short adventures for DMs to run or help launch a campaign. Also, Baldur's Gate 3, you know, that video game that everyone played. That will be referenced in the artwork of the Baldur's Gate section, and there's going to be some other nods to the games as well in that section. It was described as, this is the book that if people love Baldur's Gate 3 and want to know how to jump into Dungeons & Dragons, this is one of the books to get them. Anyways, that is a ton of D&D info for today, so we'll end things there. We have a lot more to talk about this week. We've got the Monster Manual. We've got some other cool stuff. So be sure to like and subscribe to Above the Table so we can give you lots more juicy D&D details and some other cool stuff as well.